relevant, reliable, and researched. This is Experts on Call, the show focused on delivering leading-edge news and information on today's most beneficial products and services. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.
So, it's spring cleaning time, and like it or not, you're stuck with sprucing up the old place to get it ready for the summer of 2013. And by gosh, as you go through your place or possibly packing things up in boxes because you're moving, you're downsizing, all of a sudden you've come across a few little items you'd either forgotten about or perhaps didn't even know you had. And we're talking about precious metals, perhaps a piece of jewelry or a gold ring or something like that. And all of a sudden you're going, well, have I just stumbled across a windfall? Or what do I do with it now? Glad you're tuning us in. We're talking with the guys from Vancouver Gold, Canada's trusted neighborhood gold buyers. CEO and co-owner Charlie Pollock is in studio, along with regional manager Greg Neilson. And Charlie, you talked to us a little bit about before the break, about why you and your brothers founded Vancouver Gold, a company that is now expanding across Canada, basically because, as a lot of consumers do, you saw an ad on TV, send us your gold to Company X somewhere in the States, probably, right? Was it the States or Canada?
The ad was from the States, and then there was a company in Canada who did the same thing. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So you sent it off, and you just didn't get any satisfaction. It just didn't work out for you. They didn't offer you anywhere near the dollars you felt that your merchandise was worth. And to retrieve it took forever and a day. The experience was extremely unpleasant and time-consuming.
It was a wrestling match. Yeah, we really had to fight to get that back. And
so now you decided, well, that was a real waste of time. Let's see what we can do about organizing ourselves, perhaps into some kind of enterprise that makes this whole process worthwhile, not only for us, but for anyone else in British Columbia that has maybe some old gold or jewelry. They would like to find out whether it's worth anything and then maybe sell it. Maybe have some fun with some of those things. How long have you been in business?
We have been in business for a little over 3 years now.
Okay. Yeah. And that's with the 4 Lower Mainland stores. Would they open simultaneously, or did you start with the one downtown on Broadway and gradually expand incrementally?
Yeah, we started small. Our intention, even when we got those, did that first refining load, wasn't necessarily to start a business, but we had so much luck with that first load. Getting rid of our own gold was the goal. We had $2,500. We got that together with some other people, and we refined that. But we kept getting emails from our original ad coming in. Mm-hmm. So we bought a little testing machine called the Miser. It's a little electronic testing machine. We met people in coffee shops, and we, hooked up these little circuits to the gold. On a little screen, it said, 10 karat gold. So we'd buy based on that. And that was the start. We started on Craigslist, going to coffee shops. Then we just figured there was enough demand and enough people, so we opened a small office and a shared office floor.
Right. Really baby steps all the way along,
It was absolutely, right? Yeah. It was just, we never intended to open 12 stores right away. Like, it was just kind of, that's where the demand drove us.
So, Greg, you've been involved, well, obviously you weren't there at the beginning, but you've been brought in now that the business is expanding. And as the regional manager here in the Lower Mainland, and when people come in to one of the stores, talk to us about the kind of experience an individual. Suppose now I'm someone who I've just described. I've been doing my grumpity spring cleaning, and by gosh, I've found a bit of a nugget here. So suddenly all that work may just be worth something. So I decide, listen, I heard this thing on the radio. I'm going to go to Vancouver Gold and see what happens. What will happen when I show up at one of the 4 stores in Metro Vancouver with my newfound largesse? I hope.
Well, the first thing is you wouldn't have to book an appointment. You can gather up whatever it is that you've got, whether you have a sneaking suspicion maybe it's gold, or for sure. Bring it in, and we'll sit down with you and go through the test with you face to face. We'll go through all the steps, and there are a number of steps. With some items it's a little more straightforward than others. But basically, there's a few different tests that we would go through with each customer in the store, depending on what you've got.
So is it, Charlie, is it just about gold, or are we talking other precious metals like silver? And is there some accommodation for diamonds and jewelry, or is it just gold because that's what the company's called, Vancouver Gold?
No, we also buy kind of the main precious metals, which are gold, silver, platinum.
Okay.
We do deal in some palladium, although we don't see a lot of that.
I'm sure.
For the precious stones, the only one we've been able to buy is the only one we've been able to find a real market for, and that's diamonds.
Okay.
So we do
The
buy
most popular.
yeah, exactly, and the one with the real high value there. So we do have a gemologist. She's a GIA certified gemologist. She's in our stores a couple days a week. She's the one who has to look at the diamonds. There's the grading process, and
Sure, of course.
the testing for that is basically pretty thorough and in depth to figure out the value of one of those stones. So we buy, all the precious metals plus diamonds over a quarter carat in size.
Well, it's interesting because I want you to come back, Charlie, and talk to us about this refinery thing, because I have a feeling this is all part of testing. And I got to tell you, when I think about, taking something to be evaluated for the purposes of perhaps my selling it, all I think of is some little old guy in the back of a store who puts that big thing in one eye and then looks it over and says, I'll give you $50. And I have a feeling that's kind of 1930s Hollywood that I'm seeing more than anything else, and that 2013 testing methods are pretty darn sophisticated. You mentioned when you were getting your company started a few years ago, you were talking about a refinery. Where do refineries come into the whole process of buying and selling gold?
Basically, that's the last step. So once you get the load together and get it, you get it refined, and that's the process
melted down?
That's the process of melting it down and kind
okay.
of getting it recycled back into the whole system, I guess. So
okay.
that gets turned into the bars mostly, probably about half bars, half jewelry, based on the numbers of what's being sold these days.
An interesting statistic I read recently. If you buy brand new gold, it's going to be 40% of the supply of gold actually comes from refineries, from recycling.
Interesting.
And whether you know it or not, I
Right.
mean that's where gold comes from. I mean, gold mining represents a good chunk of it, but 40% is actually from
It's just
recycling.
Yeah,
Recycling.
40% of the quote new gold,
Right.
the stuff you're buying as, assuming you're adding to that like mining demand, you're also adding to the recycling as well. It's gold's never spent, basically. You don't, like oil, you don't consume gold.
Right.
So all the gold that's ever been mined is out there somewhere. A lot of it's stored in, jewelry and some in electronics, but investment's the other big one.
Sure, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking, Greg, earlier about, we were talking about the fact that some people's gold bears a little stamp that gives a clue as to what the carat might be. Is it advisable, if I'm going to go and offer some of my stuff for sale, that I separate it by what I think the carat grouping may be? Or are you people just so set up that it doesn't matter what condition in terms of, I got a little pile of 10 carat, a little pile of 18 carat. Is that necessary or helpful, or just a waste of time on the part of someone who might want to come into the store?
It's not necessary, but I would recommend it. If you're going to be shopping around, if you're going to be doing, if you want to know that you're getting the fair value for your gold, it is important to separate it, because, through our experiences, there are some gold buyers that don't separate it, and obviously the separating it out into different carats is what is going to get you the most value for
Sure.
it, because 10 carat gold is only 41% pure,
Right.
whereas 18 karat gold is 75% pure. So, if you go into a pawn shop or somewhere that they're just grouping it all together and paying you out based on the weight of everything,
Then you're probably going to get the lowest possible price.
yeah, exactly. So
Is pure gold 24, by the way? Just a reference.
Yep.
Yeah,
24
exactly.
carat?
That's the definition of a
Okay.
carat is parts per 24.
And you have a little testing machine. Greg was telling me this before we did the show, Charlie, that you have a testing machine that allows you, when a person comes into one of the Vancouver Gold stores, to determine not only what percentage of this ring or piece of jewelry is gold, but it'll also tell you, and it's got 13% silver and 14% copper, and it actually breaks down the complete spectrum of metals in any given object.
That's exactly right. That's the most recent and sophisticated of the machines we use to test gold. It's called we call it the X-ray machine. It's an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer. So you feed the little piece in there. It takes a laser, shines down on it, and it closes the lid because it's an X-ray. Mm-hmm. And then in 15-20 seconds we get a whole kind of readout of what's in that sample.
Kind of like a CSI machine for gold guys, right?
Exactly.
That's fascinating
great,
stuff. Yeah, really. So, but in terms of bringing one's gold into a store, do you share this information? For example, the thing that always struck me about putting my heirlooms into an envelope and sending them off to some mysterious destination and hopefully getting a check sooner or later is that there would be no exchange of information. When you put this machine on a piece of jewelry that I bring to your store, do you tell me it's 82% gold or it's 9% gold and you've been taken to the cleaners? Do you share that information with the client on the spot?
Yeah, absolutely. We think that transparency is one of the most important things we do.
Good for you. I would hope so.
Like what Greg was saying, we recommend people know what they expect when they come into a gold buying store, because we recommend that for anywhere they go. If they come into us, the intention is, you don't need to know what you have. We're gonna separate that by 10 karat, by 14 karat, by whatever the purity of gold is. But knowing that people are going to be dealing with everyone, including us. We're someone you as a customer listening on the radio or a potential customer, you wanna be careful. So we recommend everyone, if they know what they're expecting, that they have some idea coming into any gold buyer. The amount of knowledge that the store has of their professionals kind of outweighs what the customer knows. So I think there's a lot of responsibility there.
And I think we should interject at this point, because I have refrained from doing so up until this point, but this is the appropriate spot, Charlie. Yours is the only gold buying and selling company in British Columbia that enjoys the Better Business Bureau designation of approval. What do you do differently that everybody else doesn't, according to the Better Business Bureau?
Yeah, well, our company, to be accredited by the Better Business Bureau, and that's in the Lower Mainland, too, by the way.
Yeah.
They put any company through a fairly rigorous process to be accredited. In our case, because they hadn't accredited any other gold buyers before, they were extra vigilant with us. So it was a matter of calling customers, making sure that customers were happy. The Better Business Bureau actually spoke with customers that we've dealt with.
They weren't content to take your word for it.
No.
they went right to the customers and said,
"No,
okay,
they were quite thorough.
For real. Were you well served?" And everybody said, "Well, sure we were."
Yeah, and then they also look at the number of total customers that the company has served versus the number of complaints that they've received.
Okay.
And we're fortunate we've actually received no complaints at all. The Better Business Bureau, and this is after serving almost 50,000 customers in Vancouver
over several years.
Yeah, over the course of a few years.
That
we haven't
is
had
impressive.
a single complaint to the Better Business Bureau.
Well, I could go on and on, but when the folks at the Better Business Bureau do the homework for all of us and end up with the seal of approval on Vancouver Gold, then chances are and it's just a tremendous peace of mind thing. And it says right in your newspaper ad, sell your gold with peace of mind. And I think dealing with a company that has the absolute approval of the Better Business Bureau is going to give any customer a great deal of peace of mind. We'll find out lots more about Vancouver Gold, Canada's trusted neighborhood gold buyers, from CEO Charlie Pollock and Regional Manager Greg Neilson right after this time out.
Delivering relevant and beneficial consumer information. This is Experts on Call. And there's more still ahead on AM 650.